What's up, fans of anime? I've begun this feeling lately that animes have just been getting a little bit too serious and a little bit too dark just to appeal to the audience. Sometimes animes would just start out a certain way, and then when they'd end, it'd be a complete 180 from where they originally started. Jujutsu Kaisen is a good example of this. Like, nothing really bad happened in the first season. Like, it was all hype, the animations were crisp, and the music complemented it perfectly. Then season 2 happened and it became very somber. The animations highlighted a more serious tone, and the music also took a more melodramatic note to match it.
But that's just how I like it. I like it when the anime do that. Why do animes always start so slow?
Okay, it's not the fact that they start slow, it's the fact that they start a certain way and then they immediately change what they're going for without any form of build-up whatsoever.
Because they know they gotta get with the times. They gotta get with the times. The times is...
See, while I do think that's a really good direction to be moving, you know, it makes the story more interesting, but for me personally, it made me lose the reason why I watched it in the first place. I watched it for its exciting action sequences with the awesome soundtrack that came with it, and it's not like Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't have that anymore. It's just the focus definitely shifted more away from that, which made me not like the anime as much as I would want it to. Now, some might argue and say, well, all I want to watch are action sequences with no context and characters with no development at all, which I do want that sometimes, but that's just because I'm really just burnt out on all these like serious animes that try to put something on me, but I don't really care too much about it because they don't build it up that much. So a lot of the times I just want to turn my brain off because I'm just kind of getting bored of that now. But Frieren is a pretty good example of a very serious anime that maintains its direction. Now, some people are disappointed that in Frieren there isn't a lot of more combat and fighting in it, and I do echo that as well, but at the end of the day, those moments weren't what the anime was about. It was all about learning what life is, and while life in itself is a battle, the confrontations that they have with the evil forces was no longer an everyday thing for them, and they maintain that direction throughout the anime, and very rarely do they ever deviate from it. So I thought that was a pretty good example of, let's show a little bit something different, something dramatic, but it's only in those moments, and then afterwards it will just go back to doing what it was originally trying to do. Not to mention, a lot of the most popular animes, or at the very least the animes that are being talked about so much right now, are the more serious ones.
Those are my kind of animes.
Yeah, so like animes like Oshinoko, Hell's Paradise, and Classroom Elites, like all these animes, everyone loves to talk about it like right now, and very rarely do I ever hear conversations about the more light-hearted animes or like the comedy types, as you would say, except for something like Spy Family. And that makes it very obvious now that the market for anime has become more focused on the existentialism of things, because if the anime isn't deep or real, then the story is now bad.
But doesn't it eventually sometimes go like dark too sometimes?
While Spy Family is technically labeled action comedy, the idea of having parents, even though in the anime's case it's a farce, is extremely important to have and not something to look down on. Or perhaps the idea of adoption, that not having a blood-related child still makes that your own child. Those are, yes, very serious topics to be had, but the anime doesn't rest on that particular style. It instead just maintains this very cutesy, very wholesome tone throughout the entire show.
But I feel like a lot of fans like it when those parts happen though.
Yeah, but again,
that's the part everybody's waiting for.
Yeah, but again, it's those moment-to-moments that really matter, right? Because it isn't the main focal point of the show. Like, when they happen, the fans are happy, but I feel like what they're really here for is the wholesomeness of it. No, actually, I'm just joking with you. It's just Anya, okay? But it's that wholesomeness interaction between these three characters who are technically not a family, but be a family. Spy Family doesn't succumb to the overly serious tones shifts that animes nowadays have been doing. But if you were to imagine for a second that if Spy Family decided to just stray away from the wholesomeness and then just say, you know what, forget going to school, Lloyd, just focus on your mission, just go and do this thing. War has broken out, everything is dark and depressing now. It's like, I did not sign up for Spy Family to watch something this depressing, okay? And so like, while I do think that the story would be more interesting now, the whole reason why I wanted to watch Spy Family in the first place is now lost. Now, another anime that also has become the topic of scrutiny in this particular subject, at least for me, has been My Hero Academia. A lot of people despise this anime just because nobody ever dies because everyone has plot armor. To which I reply with, this anime was never meant to be about the heroes dying in battle or about, you know, the realities of the justice system. I always thought that it was meant to be a story about how one person, that being Deku, became the greatest hero that there ever was. So I for one thought that this anime didn't need to be incredibly deep in the story, because I thought that every character's individual motivations to want to be a hero and just seeing them put the work in to achieve that was enough for me to be like, okay, this anime is fine. But then when the anime became about all these war crimes and what it actually means to be a hero and the whole philosophy of restricting their own potential, I just thought this direction was just way too serious for an anime that just did not need it. Like when it first started out, it was really hyped. It was just really awesome to watch. It gave you that really nice superpower anime just to watch, and you feel nice just watching it. And I felt like because the anime industry has changed over the time since My Hero has come out, for me it just felt like My Hero shifted into this direction because that's where the market was heading now. Not because this is where the story actually went, it's just because that's how everyone wanted it now.
Well, I feel like My Hero was always like that in the sense that even in season 1, it wasn't that people weren't dying, it's more that consequential thing that was happening. So season 1, everything was fine and dandy up until the end of it, where the League of Villains, they invaded that little dome where they were at the amusement park, and it got serious. What's that vacuum person? That vacuum clerk person? She was getting destroyed by a warp man. I don't know his name. And then they were dying. She was dying. Eraserhead was getting, he was getting destroyed
too. Yeah.
So they were almost gonna die, and that's what I guess fans want to see in anime, is that consequential things happening. Now, as the seasons went on, My Hero kept it up until maybe like season 4, season 5. That's when it started deviating from the actual consequential things, because they were just training most of the time, or there was like doing a slice of life stuff. So in season 6, this is probably the part you're talking about, where everything got really serious, 0 to 100. That's probably why it was such a big difference.
Shock.
Yeah, but that's what the fans were waiting for the whole time.
Like personally, I'm just tired of all the seriousness of this anime, because I always feel like the topics that they're trying to talk about, other animes have just already done, but they don't even add their own twists to it. And the topics that they talk about are usually more of a philosophical aspect of things, like should soldiers follow every single order that they're given, or what is the meaning of justice, that kind of stuff. Like I feel like they focus too much of the idealistic nature of those topics rather than what the reality of all those things do. Like it blows my mind that there are so many rom-coms out there about trying to get with somebody or something like that, but the only like a very handful that talk about they're already in a relationship and the relationship is failing. Like that to me is a more serious topic and a more real topic that is very interesting, just because how do they deal with it and what is the fallout that happens to everyone around them.
But dude, we don't talk about that in anime. Quiet down.
No, there is one anime that I remember that talked about it, and it's a very old anime from 2006, and it's called Nana. Do you know this anime?
I know the name. I don't watch it.
Yeah, if you know that anime, then that anime was probably one of the better like failing relationships that you can watch nowadays. And I don't even think in the modern times there's an anime that does that, but that's something that happens very regularly on a daily basis. And to me, I just want to know, how does this anime tackle that problem? And a more serious issue that has been brought to the spotlight now has been, mental health issues. So an anime depicting such problems would actually do pretty well in this market. I mean, just look at Bocchi The Rock. It deals with social anxiety, and yes, while the topic is very serious, it's a more lighter take on what someone would naturally go through in those situations, but I still think that they did a really good job showing that, some people could connect with this character, although it's not as dark and depressing as it actually is. It's something nice to know that, hey, here's an anime character that I can potentially relate to, so I can connect to other people who also like this anime because they also see themselves in this character that I also see myself in.
I feel like a lot of times when anime focuses on stuff like that, they're not as popular, so they don't generate a lot of traction. There's some animes that's done that in the past, like Welcome to NHK. Like it was mental health issues, and that's like an anime that I remember a lot, only because that's one of the main characters that dealt with like being a NEET or like a shut-in, and he has a
real problem.
He has to actually show growth throughout the whole anime, and social anxiety, and just unfamiliarity with the whole world. And I feel like it didn't do good when it comes to like popularity, because that's not what I guess the viewers want.
Yeah.
They want action. They want something that goes fast. A lot of people don't really watch slice of life nowadays, and there's not too many slice of life out there right now. There's mostly action, isekais, fantasy. It's a different audience right now.
Yeah, and it's mainly because like the reason why these types of animes don't do well is because they would prefer it if anime stayed away from reality as much as possible, just because they watch it for escapism. Yeah. So while I might personally find it more interesting to watch the more realistic aspect of things, like they don't want to see the bad things of reality in an anime, because then it's like, well, they might be looking into a mirror and so like they don't want to watch that. So I'm like, I can understand that, but at the same time, like that's how you get the better stories, when it is a reflection of reality, or at the very least a seemingly realistic situation. So then you can potentially connect with these characters, or even ponder about what you might do in the situation. And you did mention NHK, but I think more recently an anime that did mental health and more specifically depression the best right now, like I've ever seen, was Mushoku Tensei. Like I never looked at a character and immediately knew that this character was depressed, just because of the way that he carried himself, the actions that he did, and everything that he went through. I just thought, I actually had a pause and I couldn't watch it for a small bit, just because it was so hard to watch. But I think that's what made it really good though, because like if an anime itself can make you feel what a character is feeling, then I think that's a great anime already.
I feel like they had to go through that way. So to bring mental health or like that shut-in, they had to go through an isekai. Viewers not gonna watch an anime just about a NEET or a shut-in.
Yeah.
They had to actually mask it in an isekai or like a fantasy.
You have to be tricked into watching it.
And that's how a lot of anime themes are nowadays. They have to put it in a way where it's digestible for the viewers.
So yes, I do think that animes have gotten a lot more serious as of late, but that's mainly because it's now the most popular genre. Some of the best stories that come from anime are from the series. It's only natural. But I mean, the result of it now has become some animes needed to become more serious in mid-production in order to suit the animes that are being released. But that's enough about me ranting about anime. You've made it this far. Thank you for staying and watching and listening to me complain.
Finally.
But if you like this video and you want to see more, you can check out our videos. We do anime reviews and we do anime quizzes. But until next time, thank y'all for watching.